necessary from my perspective. Why would anyone get angry over this special? We're dealing with human beings. We're dealing with a phenomenon that intentionally obfuscates, hides itself from humanity, allows governments to get smoking gun, but apparently makes it intentionally difficult for the public to get smoking gun evidence. The dynamics of the situation we're swimming in is so complex and nuanced that maybe it's not appropriate to become so upset if a documentary or a News Nation special doesn't live up to your expectation. Maybe it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. However, I'm certainly open to criticism of my perspective. I'm just telling you from my subjective, biased perspective. We're all biased. So here is Renate's criticism from Norway, and I quote from her Twitter. For disclosure, in my opinion, this interview was one step forward and one step back. Status quo, the same. The reason being, for the people not seasoned in this topic, the consciousness connecting to an entity, that description was a stretch too far. And politicians will want to avoid it altogether. Make no mistake. We need them for achieving disclosure. I am happy to be wrong, though. So that's a valid criticism because this special did go very deeply into the woo. However, maybe we have to go into the woo. If the phenomenon itself encompasses woo and we pretend that it only encompasses nuts and bolts and that it has nothing to do with consciousness and it has nothing to do with telepathy, and it has nothing to do with capabilities and experiences that are beyond our normal range of experience as human beings, then maybe we're being completely dishonest about the phenomenon. And if all of that encompasses the phenomenon, then maybe it's high time that we told it like it is. It's already been 7 years since the New York Times article. I think we have gone along in a very responsible and iterative way. So why not get deeper into the weeds if the weeds actually exist and are part of the phenomenon itself? So I don't have a problem with the woo that was part of this presentation. Woo is in everything, by the way. Woo is in meditation. Woo is in near-death experiences. Woo is in being in the zone as an athlete. Woo seems to be something so intrinsic to our everyday experience. And maybe it's not every moment, but many of us have had experiences we can't explain, telepathic messages, precognitive dreams, out-of-body experiences, premonitions. Many of us have experienced these things. It's a part of our reality. Are we supposed to talk about UFOs? But even though those woo things are a part of our everyday reality, we have to pretend like they're never consistent or occurring with the UFO phenomenon. That doesn't make sense to me. We got to cut it out. Look, this is just my opinion, but maybe the universe is much weirder than we're promoting scientifically, historically, and just in general. I've had my own completely unambiguous anomalous experience when I was 14. I received a telepathic message. I wrote a whole article about it. You can check it out in my Medium, but many people have had these experiences. We just have to be honest. We can't pretend that UFOs are exclusively nuts and bolts and just weird science. Maybe it's, and by the way, everything is science, right? Everything is science. What we don't understand, we call woo, but if science ever began to understand it, it would just be part of fundamental reality and it would just be science. Okay. So let's go into something Jake Baker said. For some reason, I struggle remembering his name. I hope that's his name. It's Jake Baker. That'd be embarrassing if I got that wrong. But he said this at the end of the special. He said, and look, I was writing it down as quickly as I could because I was writing down notes while watching it. So please forgive me if I get anything wrong because I think that's inevitable. Let me set you up. So Ross Coulthard asked Jake Baker something like, do you really expect people to believe this? How are people going to believe you? And Jake Baker responded to the best of my quotation, and I quote, I'm not here to make anyone believe in anything. It's exhausting. You will know us by our fruits. Stay tuned in and watch what our new project will do and prepare to be dazzled. So I really like this quote by Jake Baker, who was the main whistleblower in this special. And the reason I like this so much is because he's putting himself on the line. He is saying, don't believe me. Believe me on account of what's to come, but don't believe me merely on the News Nation special. And in my tweet that I tweeted out, I said myself, I don't have blind belief. But at the same time, I was very impressed by this special. I found his testimony compelling, and he was backed up by 3 elite special forces operators. So he wasn't like coming at this alone and having no corroboration. And it was very woo-oriented. But look, maybe that's what happened to him. Maybe the things that he said happened to him actually did happen to him. So what is he supposed to do? Pretend that they didn't? What do you want? What do you expect of him? Do you expect of him to water it down? Is that what you want? You want him to water down his testimony so that you don't feel uncomfortable, or so that you don't perceive that it's hurting the UFO transparency cause? I think that's ridiculous. Now, is he lying? He could be. Is he LARPing? He could be. Is he mistaken or deluded? He could be. I don't know. I wasn't there. How could I make such a claim? I wasn't there. But I do think his testimony was compelling. He did not give me the perception that he was lying. I didn't see red flags in the way he said things. He didn't come off like he had illusions of grandeur, or he felt he was the chosen one. It felt to me like someone who's like, man, I had some weird experiences. I didn't ask for this. I didn't pray for this. I didn't request this, but it happened to me, and I'm going to tell my story. Okay, let me take a sip of some disclosure soda. One moment.
Oh, tu vieni con me.
Cosa?
Ti ho rovinato la vita, Tara. Credo che sia giusto che te ne offra una nuova.
Non ho lo spazzolino da denti.
Baby, dove stiamo andando non c'è bisogno di denti.
Whoa! Fighter jets were scrambled because a mystery drone got too close to one of President Trump's planes, and a new alleged whistleblower claims that mystery drones are coming from an ET base here on Earth. This is coming to us from MSN, and thank you, Dennis, for sending the story my way. Fighter jet scrambled after drone sighting sparks security fear as Donald Trump backup plane lands. Fighter jets and a military helicopter were scrambled when a potential drone sighting near President Donald Trump's backup aircraft sparked security concerns over the weekend. Air Force One landed safely in Miami on Saturday, but the president's backup plane was put on a temporary hold when a possible drone was spotted around Freeway Airport. The aircraft departed California at 2100 hours, but was delayed near Joint Base Andrews because of the mysterious drone. 2 F-16 fighter jets with the call sign Brave 1 and Brave 2 were scrambled alongside military helicopter Blackjack 1, that's a cool name, tasked with intercepting the target of interest, the TOA, according to air traffic control audio. From the audio, just be advised that we have an active scramble out about 10 miles north of Andrews and just waiting on the jet to depart there. Active intercept, so that is the reason for the delay vector. Blackjack 1, you guys, are you guys visual with whatever you guys are looking for? Not visual, comes the answer at this time. ATC described the target as a potential drone between 5,000 and 6,000 feet up. TOI is now off. You're about 2 o'clock, 4 miles southbound, might be in the vicinity of Freeway Airport. TOI is you guys are either right on top of it or right underneath it. he is indicating 60 knots. So if that helps you guys. However, Blackjack 1 repeatedly confirmed that they were unable to intercept the target until ATC revealed that the object had disappeared from their screen. Eventually, the backup President plane was directed to Joint Base Andrews, where it landed at 1:41 a.m. So yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. We've got mystery drones giving trouble to Donald Trump. Meanwhile, we have a new claim as to where these mystery drones might be coming from. And this comes from a source that approached Jon Stewart. And Jon Stewart is the former gubernatorial candidate and professional wrestler Jon Stewart, who did so much investigating on the alien interview. His evidence was of such caliber that Richard Dolan himself was convinced that we're likely looking at a real live, at that time, alien or ET in that video. There were 2 remote viewings by 2 different teams on that interview with that being, that interrogation, whatever we're calling it, and under double-blind conditions. And both independent remote viewing teams confirmed that there was a legitimate event, and they even had data on where the craft came from and et cetera. So really great stuff, great research from Jon Stewart. He is also the one that brought to us the Lockheed Martin JSOC firefight story, which appears to be true. It was also backed up by Nico, who I've had on the channel. And Jake Barber himself was asked about that by Ross Coulthart, who seemed to find that credible. And Jake Barber said he couldn't talk about it because Dopser wouldn't clear it, which means there's something to talk about. So John's brought some great stories to us before. Could this be another one? Well, let's get into John's information. He posted this on Reddit. Official open letter to the media from Jon Stewart, date January 24th. To the media and the global community. Last week, I was contacted by a renegade group known as Brothers in Arms, an organization reportedly working alongside a select number of individuals within the U.S. military establishment at the Pentagon. These individuals claim to possess critical information that they believe must be disclosed to the public. In their correspondence to me, they shared a series of statements and revelations that raise a significant questions about our understanding of recent events and broader global phenomena. The origins of the drone phenomenon. According to their information, the mysterious drones recently reported on the east coast of the United States have their origins and incidents first documented in 2004 in Iran. The Iranian government, unable to identify these drones, reached out to Russian authorities for assistance in understanding their nature and purpose. A coordinated threat. The group alleges that the drones currently being observed are part of an initial wave of activity by non-human intelligent terrestrial beings. They claim these beings are attempting to coordinate attacks on America's nuclear and military facilities. The triggering of NHI responses. They assert that tensions between factions within the Pentagon have led to critical developments, specifically a so-called new guard within the Pentagon acting against the old guard allegedly located the geographic location of colonies inhabited by NHI beings, referred to as the colony. This discovery is said to have triggered the response from these non-human entities. 4. Clarifications on alleged NHI craft. The Brothers in Arms strongly emphasize that the egg-shaped craft reportedly seen is not an ET vehicle. They further state that there has never been a photograph of an actual interstellar craft. Instead, they claim all images and footage of UFOs throughout history depict terrestrial NHI technology. And that's something that many researchers and experiencers have talked about is, yeah, they're not coming from outer space. They're here. They've been here for a long time. They may have created humanity. They may have had a hand in creating life on Earth, according to many people. So, yeah, that's not out of the realm of question that these ships could have originated from here. Finally, the group has informed me, that's John, that they intend to provide catastrophic photographic evidence to substantiate their claims of non-human intelligent beings. As a longtime advocate for transparency and government accountability, I believe it is in my responsibility to bring this information to the media and the public for scrutiny and discussion. I make no claims regarding the accuracy of the assertions presented by the brothers in arms, but the gravity of these statements necessitates careful investigation by independent experts, journalists, and relevant authorities. The implications of these claims, if true, would profoundly affect our understanding of national security, human history, and our place in the universe. For this reason, I urge the media to approach this matter with both skepticism and an open mind, ensuring that any investigation prioritizes factual accuracy and responsible reporting. So, fascinating information from John Stewart that these mystery drones could have been triggered because somebody in the Pentagon discovered the location of an ET colony or base here on Earth. Now, I've talked before about, the people saying that there are indeed ET bases here on Earth. In fact, some say different races prefer different environments. They're all typically underground. Some prefer to be underground in the mountains. Some prefer to be underground in the deserts. Some prefer to be under the sea. So, I'm, positively disposed to the idea that there's ET bases here on Earth, and that a lot, if not most, maybe all, potentially, of the ships we're seeing come from Earth. Totally possible. What about the massive ships like the Phoenix Lights, craft that are a mile wide or more? Are those hidden here on Earth? Where are those coming from? It seems to me like those massive ships have a higher chance of coming from beyond rather than Earth. But who the heck knows? I'm sure there probably are massive subterranean cities or something potentially of these beings. I think that's very, very possible. Anyway, so maybe they're coming from here. Maybe somebody discovered their location and this triggered these mystery drones into targeting our nuclear and military facilities. I'm not quite convinced of that. I think if they were targeting our facilities, they probably would have done something by now. If it's a military action or, aggressive action on the part of the ETs that's supposed to be happening, I think that would have happened by now. But hey, who knows, guys? From what I'm seeing, independent of this claim that it began in 2004 in Iran, the mystery drones seem to have begun in Colorado in 2019 and 2020. And potentially that was like a test of the technology, which would seem to indicate a more human cause. But I mean, it's so anomalous and so weird. And none of these things have been downed or can be downed. They vanish before people's eyes. So, hey, why not? Why not coming from an ET base here on Earth? As far as it being triggered by, somebody finding out about them, who knows? Maybe various remote viewers have discovered ET bases and have even interacted with ETs in those bases, on a consciousness level. So it's interesting that, discovering their bases would have triggered this activity if indeed other people have discovered them. But it's a fascinating claim. They claim, again, that more information is going to be forthcoming. They're going to reveal this catastrophic evidence. So I guess we can just wait and see if they deliver on this catastrophic evidence. But it's a really interesting claim. And kudos to John for bringing it to our attention.